Hey, it's me. Welcome to Trump Mafia. Now, as you know, I don't buy into that whole civil war idea, but of course there is some kind of a cultural war going on for decades now. We have people in our country that hate the country, and it's that simple. And they don't see it as a real country, and that's why they can behave in this way and even talk about assassinating the President of the United States. We call these people Democrats and retards. Now the problem is, these people are in the United States and they will always be there. Now they have a radical fringe, let's say 20%. But that is now the mainstream, because that's all they have left. Now, to be honest, you cannot talk about a civil war when the Democratic Party is decimated. They have nothing. It would be like if you had the last civil war and then they have to put out ads in a newspaper begging for a couple of people to show up at a location. But that civil war really had hundreds of thousands of people fighting. But now you see these Antifa losers and demented terrorists. They have to be bussed in, and they get their $10 in a sandwich, and it's pathetic. I mean, they're throwing bags of urine, and what is that? We're talking about the lowest of the low, the bottom of the barrel, and if these people are not deported, they will be jailed, or somehow they will meet the challenge, they will meet the challenge of the real nation standing up against them, because they're making a deadly mistake thinking that a bunch of Nazis over there and KKK, who are really Democrats, and we're talking about 100 people, that even compares to the Trump nation of millions and millions, and it's at least 70 million strong, and that is just like a Tea Party. They also call a Tea Party racist, but they really have no idea. So really they're creating this fairy tale and a narrative. And why is it with Democrats that it's always about fiction? Be it global warming fiction, or the Nazis are rising fiction. And it's always been like that. Anarchists and communists, the radical fringe, which is now the mainstream for the Democrats, they always need to find someone to bitch about and to have a reason to go out in the street and to get their $10 in a sandwich. And it's pretty pathetic. If real Americans stood up, and most of us carry arms, we would put these people away so fast. And even when it comes to fights, when it's a fair fight, these people become cowards. They're only strong now because in liberal cities the police is told to stand down by liberal mayors and liberal governors, and then they have like this herd mentality, and they always target little old women or girls. They're weaklings, right? Or it's like 50 on one guy, and then they feel strong. When it comes down to it, when these people are unmasked in a real way, they start crying and they want to go home to mommy. It's so sad. What a bunch of losers, right? And so that is really the Obama base. Non-Americans, un-Americans, and a bunch of retards and losers. And really, if you think about it, Obama did nothing in the White House but some low-level community organizing. This guy was never fit or qualified to be president in any way, and this is the result. In fact, it's George Soros that runs the Democrats and those media companies. But the Democrats are now really a fringe group, and that includes the Democratic Party. They have nothing. They truly have nothing. But when it comes down to it, you do have people going out there harassing American citizens, so President Trump needs to step up and designate Antifa as a terrorist organization, and also go after Organizing for Action, that terror group that Obama has headquartered in his garage. It's not like he can drive, right? There's no cars in his garage. Just a desk and, a bunch of dildos for him to stick up his butt. And yeah, it's a terror headquarters, right? Maybe Navy SEALs or a SWAT team should bust in there, right? And if they meet any resistance, all these people down. Valerie Jarrett, Obama, the Sasquatch, whoever is there, right? Because we're talking about making America great again, and that means law and order has to be restored. We're not living in the 60s anymore. Now, with the Steve Bannon guy leaving, he's pretty much an anti-globalist, which is really needed. But still, he was only an advisor. It doesn't mean he had any real powers inside of the administration. And the number one anti-globalist is President Donald J. Trump. So what more do you need? It's not like one of those situations where you have a puppet president who is a globalist and then you need an anti-globalist advisor to whisper in his ear. No, we don't need Steve Bannon because Donald J. Trump is already an anti-globalist in a big way. Perhaps even more than Steve Bannon or some of the others. But I would love to be an unofficial advisor for the president. And I say unofficial because, I could never pass the security clearances, I guess. I mean, I would look at my resume and be like, okay, by the age of 18, he starred in 200 porn movies and produced and directed. He has a tattoo that says, Obama, burn in hell. And he's a birther. He believes that Obama is born in Mozambique. He tried to kill John Connor several times. He's part of Skynet. And this guy was arrested for vagrancy in Jerkwater, USA. I mean, my resume is not exactly something that they want over there. So unofficial. I'll be an unofficial advisor. And even as it is now, I really feel like some of these people in Trump administration are geniuses, right? And President Trump is guiding them into a different direction. And they're doing what he's telling them to do. But I would really be there for some of the other issues when it comes to the crimes of the Clintons, the Obamas, George Soros, Antifa, Black Lives Matter. I would really want to be an advisor on those issues. And maybe I could solve the problem with my advice in a couple of months, right? And of course, President Donald J. Trump has the power. He can do a lot, but he's playing 5D chess. He is the president for all Americans, and he's also playing a balancing act. And, let him be Trump. Let Trump be Trump and do things the way he wants to do it. I have full confidence. Now, it's very annoying to see the media and these terrorist groups and these criminals like Obama, Hillary, Comey, John Brennan, Podesta, and the Yawan brothers, and it's like there's no justice. But justice will come, and it just takes a long time. And you have to realize that there is no civil war, at least in my opinion. There's nothing even remotely like a civil war. What you have is the usual protesters, which you have for every president. Even before the World War, you had lots of big protests, and it's very vicious, but in the 60s and 70s, it was even more vicious. So you can imagine, back then, it was a big deal, but you didn't have the internet, so not everybody sees it the way people can see it now. But it's small scale. At least in the 60s, they didn't have to put out ads, please come. But now they really have to kind of recruit people, and like I always say, give them $10 and a sandwich. And they will be there, and they don't even know why they're protesting. And we're not talking about the brightest people in the nation. There is no civil war because really all you have is a cultural war, and it's the usual 15 or maybe even 20% of people that just hate their country against the rest of the nation. You saw the results of the election. Even the Rust Belt and Wisconsin went for Donald J. Trump. Why? Because Democrats are radicals. Even the Democratic Party is run by 90-year-olds and radicals, and they completely lost touch with the American people. And these radicals, okay, they can have them, right? If that's their future. CNN now is like the voice box for these radical terrorists. And they're helping Antifa and Black Lives Matter. Isn't that sad? And blacks and Hispanics who participate in those protests, they're making fools out of themselves, and they're hurting themselves. And I believe many black Americans understand that, and they're not joining Black Lives Matter. They're not going to go out there. And they know, because it's common sense. They prefer to be Americans than to throw in with these communists and anarchists and people that hate the United States. And good for them, right? So the Trump nation is growing, because the more the Democratic Party and the media throws in with these radicals, the more people will just join the Trump nation. You see how that goes? It's beautiful.